This is Kevin Green, and he is a managing broker at Berkshire Yost and Little Realty. Some of the goals that I hope to meet when Zooming with Mr. Green are to understand what a real estate broker is, to find out where Mr. Green went to college and what he got his degree in, to find out what some of the experiences are for a real estate broker and a manager, to find out what some of the hardest or toughest parts of managing people are, to find out what are some of the service opportunities Mr. Green got to participate in over the years, to hear some advice that he would give to someone who's interested in sales, to find out what Mr. Green has to do to keep up with his profession, to find out what a typical day was like before COVID, to find out if becoming a real estate broker is worth the money and time, and to know if I can actually see myself becoming a real estate agent or real estate broker or manager.
There we go.
Hi,
Okay. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So you're overseeing your projects already.
Yes.
Well,
So it's
that's exciting.
yeah. So it's called Winterim. And
Uh-huh.
so normally because of COVID, we can't go out and like we normally shadow two people
Yep.
stuff. So now we're doing Zooms with people, which is fine.
That's good. That's wonderful. We're doing a lot of Zoom as well. So,
Yeah.
and I know your dad is likewise. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of the new norm,
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so I have 10 questions for you about
right?
your career, but first, can you just tell me like an overview about your job and what you do?
Sure. I'm the managing broker here at Berkshire Hathaway Yost and Little in Greensboro. Have 125 agents working in my office. And my daily activities is keeping 125 agents happy, out of trouble, and productive.
Yeah.
Managing, assisting, advising, consulting, wear about 10 different hats um, on a daily basis.
Cool. Okay, so my first question for you is where did you attend college and what was your degree in?
I attended Greensboro College here in Greensboro, North Carolina, graduated in 1978, and my degree is in accounting.
Very cool. Okay, and then how did you move into real estate as a career and did you always want to get work in this field?
Yeah, I think that I originally started out as a golf pro and did that for 7 years and realized that that would probably take me outside of Greensboro and North Carolina to continue on in my career. And I just fell in love with Greensboro during my 4 years at Greensboro College and my 7 years working in Greensboro after that. So I looked for another field that I could enjoy. I enjoy working with people, and this was a good opportunity to and a good career. Greensboro from the early '80s to today has over doubled in size, and that means more people, more jobs, more houses sold, and so forth. So
Yeah.
it was a good mix.
Cool. What do you enjoy most about your job?
It's probably real estate, having a place to live is probably the most important thing in everybody's life
Yeah.
because you want to have a roof over your head. We understand what homelessness, how it impacts people's lives, young and old. And to be able to help people attain the American dream of home ownership is very important. We also help people from time to time find rental properties, but more primarily for sale residential properties. But helping people live out that American dream of owning their own home is the most rewarding part of our career.
Yeah. What are some of your most memorable experiences you have had as a real estate broker?
I would say that measuring the house, the best house I ever sold, a lot of people would look and say, wow, it probably is the most expensive house you ever sold. But the best house I ever sold was in 1992 to a very good friend of mine, young lady. At that time, she was a young lady who never thought she could own her own house. And we found a wonderful opportunity for her. She paid $52,000 for the house, which is not a lot of money, but it was all she could afford. Today, she still owns that house. She still lives in that house, and that house is paid for. So it really just shows what what you can do. In my profession, I really looked as being a trusted advisor. Have now worked into a role as management. But when I was listing and selling, again, going back to that reward of getting people into home that they could call home.
Yeah, very cool. And then what is the toughest part about managing people who work for you?
Managing people that work for you. Anytime you're dealing with people, you're dealing with different personalities, different pressures. Some people have a lot more pressure on earning money than others because of the financial demands that a family might put on them, whether it's paying for them to go to college or whether it's providing a roof over their head. So I think when you're dealing with different personalities, it becomes challenging. I think you have to realize that there's not a right way for every single person. You've got to be flexible. You've got to look at the situation they're in as you advise them. And, one of the things that when you look at the work piece, we're governed by our professional standards as realtors. So it's easy on that front of saying, this is what the book says you have to do. But helping people increase their business, increase their income and so forth is the challenge because, everybody's a little bit different. So that's probably the biggest challenge.
In your job, what do you do to help the community, or what have you done over the years that has helped the community?
Yeah, I think that, and that's a great point as realtors and people that are trying to build a business in somewhat of a service field as opposed to having a warehouse full of product. I've got to sell as a realtor. I have to sell my time. So one of the things you want to do is you want to give back to the community you live in. So over the last 30 plus years, I have made it a point to really make a difference in the community I live in. So I've served on the Greensboro Parks and Recreation Commission. I've served on the Greensboro Coliseum Commission for 6 years. I've volunteered at the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. I've served on the state ABC Alcohol Beverage Control Board for 4 years. And currently chairman of the Board of Trustees at Greensboro College. So I've come full circle. I'd like to think of in 1977, if the president of Greensboro College thought one day I would be chair of the Board of Trustees, he would probably have laughed. But yeah, I think it's real important that in everything that you do, no matter what community you decide to call home, you want to have an impact on that. And then I've done a lot more on my professional side of it, with the Greensboro Regional Realtors Association and the North Carolina Association of Realtors. But I think that the volunteering, my wife and I don't have any kids, and for 5 years I coached Little League baseball, so it was fun to do. So it's really just getting back and giving back to your community.
Yeah, very cool. What advice would you give to someone who is interested in getting into sales?
Well, I think that probably the biggest thing in sales that I could give to somebody, one word, would be patience. Especially in sales, like we're more of a relationship business. I want to earn you. I said that I would be a trusted advisor in real estate, much like people have financial advisors and so forth. You have to earn that trust, and it takes patience. You realize that I'm going to get into sales, whether it's real estate sales or insurance sales, that the next month I think I should be the top producer in my company. And it takes time to build what I'll call a book of business. If you're going to get into sales, I think that you want to have patience and realize it's a lifelong career. I think it's also important that you make sure you're good at follow-up. If you're going to tell somebody you're going to find out the information for them, or you're going to do the research for them, or whatever it winds up being, you want to make sure that you do that work and you follow up with people. You return their phone calls on a timely manner, you dress professionally, and you're sincere about your commitment to whatever industry you get into.
What kind of training or in-service do you have to do to keep up with your profession?
We train. I like to tell people I've been in the real estate sales part for 35 years. When I started in the business, the offer to purchase, the form you use to buy a house, was 1 page. Today it's 15 pages. So it's really exploded, meaning that you're constantly learning. It's constantly changing. The way we buy and sell real estate today in North Carolina is far different than it was 30 years ago. So you're constantly learning, and you need to, if you're going to be the consummate professional at anything, you need to stay abreast of the changes, and make sure that you're in tune with what the market research and market sales tell you. As far as on a continuing education basis, we're required with our real estate license to have 8 hours of continuing education every year.
Okay, cool. What is a typical workday like for you, like outside of COVID, like not during right now, but like a typical day?
Yeah, I basically, I'm in my office right now, so we were considered an essential business to be able to come back in the office. Most of my agents, of my 125 agents, they do not come in the office. They're able to work from home. They're able to communicate with their clients from home, and they're able to show property. We're all required to wear a mask when we go show property, and we're required to do all the CDC guidelines and so forth. But running the office, I'm allowed to come in the office, do commission checks, and closing information and so forth. So a typical day for me is being here, having access to my computer, having access to my multiple listing service, and being available for agents. When you have 125 agents, we sell about 1,250 homes a year. So if you divide that by 365, that's three plus houses a day that we're doing transactions on. So there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of questions need to be answered, and a lot of juggling balls to make sure that everybody gets the closing taking place on time.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last question is, do you think becoming a real estate broker was worth the money and time?
Worth the money and time. I think on my end of it, I would probably, I'm certainly not at the sunset of my career, but I'm certainly on the back nine of my career. I would look and say that it's been a very rewarding career. But I think as an individual that's looking and saying at a senior in high school, if I can remember back to 1974, I don't think that being a real estate agent was necessarily the top of my list, or even on my list of what I might do. So I would say to anybody to keep an open mind, and realize that there are an ever-changing world out there, and you'll find your place. You'll find that job that really does make sense for you, that you love, that you can look and wake up every day and say, I've got to go to work. I'd much rather go to the beach or go to the golf course or whatever it winds up being, but I want to have a life, and I want to have a roof over my head. I want to have food on my table. I want to have clothes on my back, and I want to feel comfortable about my life. And so, whatever career you have to get into, realize that put your heart in it, and it will be rewarding.
Yay. All right, well, that's all I have for this interview.
Well, I hope it helps.
Yes, it
Um,
did.
and it's you got a great career ahead of you. You got a great life ahead of you. College is next.
Yep.
What are you thinking about?
Um, I'm kind of thinking app maybe because
Good.
I want more of a mountainous little, I don't
All
know.
right. Well, that's good. Well, my wife grew up in Lenore, which is
Okay, yeah.
just down the mountain from Boone, North Carolina, and
Yep,
she absolutely loves. Every time we head back that way, she says there's just something about the mountains that makes her feel good.
yep.
So that would be a great choice. Is it already started the applying for schools? I mean, is that
Yeah, I did. I think I only have 2 schools left. I've applied to 8. So, it's mostly the in-state schools, the big ones. So, yeah.
right? And so app is number one on the list, do you think?
I think so. I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
Well, good luck, and I'll be praying for you and hope that you get your school of choice. But anywhere you go, you'll enjoy. Just make the most out of it and realize that it's a lifelong experience that will be it's a tough choice, tough decision, but you'll find the right one that'll
Yep.
fit. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you. Some of the goals that I met during my Zoom with Mr. Green are that I did find out where he went to college and what he got his degree in. He went to Greensboro College and he did play golf while he was there. Service for the community in Greensboro is a major subject he always wants to participate in. COVID has definitely made some changes around his office. His workers have to stay home, but he gets to go back to his office every day. Managing people can be challenging at times, but is not as stressful as right now. Mr. Green truly loves his job and working with the people around him.